Hi friends, welcome to the new podcast series on data privacy for machine learning, powered by the MLOps community and sponsored by YData. YData helps adopters of AI to improve and generate high-quality data so they can become tomorrow's industry leaders. My name is Fabiana Clemente, and I'll be your host throughout the series. I promise you great guests to help me out explaining some of the most trending topics around data privacy and AI, such as differential privacy, federated learning, or even synthetic data. And if you're not yet a member of our amazing MLOps community, I have no idea what you have been doing. Join our Slack and follow us for some amazing content and webinars with spectacular speakers every Wednesday on topics that will step up your ML game. Let me also introduce myself. I am co-founder of YData. We provide the first privacy by design data ops platform for data scientists to work with synthetic and high quality data, where I lead the data science team. As a data scientist myself, currently I work a lot with data synthesization, and I have experienced many of the challenges while working with data, from poor data quality due to collection issues to block access due to privacy. And I bet that some of you are also feeling a lot of these constraints. That's why we have started this podcast. So let's jump into today's episode: The Clash of Titans, the impact of machine learning in data privacy. It's not surprising to see both of these concepts in the same sentence. In fact, for the most of us that work with data, this is pretty common. But first things first. After all, where is data privacy? In a nutshell, we can define data privacy as the right for individuals to have control over their own personal information that gets collected and further down used by companies. Due to the increasing amount of collected data and the sophistication of the systems, many privacy laws have been approved in the last years, being the GDPR one of the most restrictive, which has changed the relationship between citizens, their data, and the companies. I don't want to bore you with a lot of information around privacy regulations, but I think it's worth to share with you some of the most relevant ones, like the GDPR, or the General Data Protection Regulation, that has started, or it was in fact implemented by the 25th of May from 2018. You have also the HIPAA, or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, that was signed by the President Bill Clinton in 96, and the new UCCPA, also in the USA, that has started in the beginning of this year, 2020. The last, but not the least, we have the LGPD from Brazil, which is in everything very similar to GDPR. Of course, there are a lot more regulations around the world, but I think the ones that I've mentioned are more than enough. But we have a fun fact about GDPR that I want to share with you. There is a website, and if I can recall, it is called theenforcementtracker.com. In this website, we have track of all the fines that were given to companies under the scope of GDPR. And in this list, British Airways is just leading the ranking with 200 million fine just in 2019, which is a lot. Now that we already know what is data privacy, you probably have another question. What does this have to do with machine learning after all? I have to say that sophistication is definitely the key for the birth of the relation between data privacy and machine learning. Nowadays, we can count on systems that are not only able to store large volumes of data, but also to have it analyzed and information extracted from. To have this happening, machine learning is playing a huge role, which, of course, is leading to innovation and development in many business areas. And you might think, I get data and information extracted from my data, but it's all secured. After all, I have all my sensitive information masked already, so it's impossible to have any data leakages. I don't know about you guys, but this is something that I've been hearing over and over again, and it's kind of alarming, at least for me. I'm a consumer as well, and hearing that probably my data is not that private, or at least is not being handled consciously as I thought, it makes me think twice before giving my consent to have my data stored and further down used by companies. And no, I'm not talking about the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Although, if you haven't heard about it, where the hell have you been? I'm talking about other kind of incidents, such as, for example, the Netflix prize or the Strava military data leakage. Yep, that's right. If you have just been Netflix and chilling and using Strava to share with your friends how much you have improved your running skills since outdoor exercise has been allowed during this pandemic, you are probably eroding your privacy. I'm just kidding, of course. We don't need to be so drastic about it. Let me explain a bit better what I meant to say. And please, don't stop using those apps because of these incidents. Afterwards, brands have taken precautions and reinforced their security and data privacy policies. The Netflix Prize was a particular popular contest that was launched by Netflix with the aim to challenge data scientists to improve the accuracy of their recommendation systems. Yeah, this is a competition, so of course, this was very popular. After all, who doesn't want to beat Netflix recommendation system? Well, the prize was quite high and juicy, which attracted a lot of attention, even from lawsuits. It seemed that even with no personal information disclosed, and as little as just movie ratings, along with the rating data and a unique identifier number for the subscribers, it was possible to re identify a lot of the users in the database. And now you are kind of wondering, how is this even possible? Well, simply by leveraging machine learning and a open external database, which in this case was the Internet Movies Database, most known as the IMDb. On the other hand, the Strava PR nightmare, it's a bit more recent. To be honest, I have never had the habit to use an app like this one just to follow my performance while doing exercise. But I know that many of my friends do it. And surprisingly enough, at least I'm not shocked. I don't know about you. These apps can tell a lot about us and the surroundings. Things just like where do we live, or usually where we go to practice outdoor activities, or even they can be used to map a lot of areas without the need of a satellite, for example. In 2017, Strava released a searchable heat map of public log activities. It is not surprising that no longer after it was released, a couple of researchers were able to reveal location of sensitive sites. And when I'm telling sensitive sites are things like US military bases in countries such as Afghanistan and Syria, as well as the exercising routines of the militaries. Well, from this, you can just conclude that location data, even without combine any extra information or even without sensitive data and using machine learning, can expose a lot about us, from where we live, our points of interest, routines, habits, you name it. In a nutshell, machine learning and AI are able to compute scenarios that combine hundreds and hundreds of features and different variables in very complex scenarios, which, in the end, results in privacy breaches. There are other amazing examples that I could share with you just to prove how machine learning and big data have definitely come to shake the concept of data privacy and protection that were so used to. In fact, you can be surprised with how AI and ML can be leveraged to attack data and systems. Let me share with you a couple of examples. We can count with, for example, adaptive malware. Yep, just like security features, as authentication have become adaptive through the use of AI and ML, also the cyber attacks. Malware that has machine learning capabilities at its disposal can learn what might and might not work in an environment and morph itself to get past defenses and infiltrate systems. We also know nowadays that besides adaptive malware, machine learning can break crypto. Yeah. So whenever a guy from security tells you, no, no, I have all encrypted, all my data is safe, or any other thing is safe with cryptography, don't trust that. Much of the information and the securities of today are based on cryptography. And many of the primitives from cryptography are based on algorithms that were designed with the goal to achieve good accuracy, but not perfect. In theory, cryptos are based on randomization. Nevertheless, if we go and see in practice, that is not totally true. And nowadays, we have machine learning models that are able to break crypto systems and speed up the brute force attempts, for example. So, again, this is something that you will hear over and over again when you talk about the issues around machine learning and data privacy, or how machine learning is affecting data privacy. And although we have heard that adaptive malware do exist and machine learning can break crypto, there are still questions that you will hear over and over again in different organizations, such as I have ensured my data full security. Isn't that enough? Well, this is pretty common to be heard across different organizations. It is pretty common to see both the concepts of security and data privacy combined, but they are not synonyms and they do refer to slightly different concepts. So, let me elaborate a bit more on this. For example, sometimes we see privacy being confused with security. A data leakage is a security breach that can lead to a privacy leakage if sensitive information is involved. So, we can say that data privacy is related to the proper handling of data, how it is collected, how it is used, and how can be kept in compliance. Whereas data security is all about the access and protection of data from unauthorized users through different methods, such as encryption, key management, or authentication. Meaning that even though all your data from production environments is secure, it doesn't mean that you have ensured its privacy, especially when you are looking to leverage machine learning techniques to extract new information from your data. Does this mean that machine learning and AI are in fact incompatible with data protection? Can privacy regulations dictate the end of AI? Well, that's too drastic, on my opinion. And I dare to say, completely not true. We now know that machine learning amplifies data privacy issues, but it's possible to overcome some of them and keep benefiting from the wonders of AI. And those solutions have a name. They are called the privacy enhancing technologies. But are they a myth? Do they promise more than what they deliver? Is there any solution that solves it all? And how can I benefit from those privacy enhancing technologies and when to apply one or the other? Those are questions that you are probably asking yourself, but please stay tuned as all of these questions will be answered on our next episode. Are privacy enhancing technologies a myth for machine learning? But because I know you are really anxious to know the answer, here's a spoiler. With privacy enhancing technologies, you can leverage machine learning without compromising data privacy. Of course, in the next episode, I want to dig a bit more on each and the most known privacy enhancing technologies. So it's definitely an episode that you can't miss. I'm sad to say, but we are reaching out the end of today's episode. But before saying goodbye, I bring you an extra. Personally, I like to keep up with the most amazing projects that are being developed, which led me to create this section of our podcast, the Open Mic. Today, I bring you the TensorFlow privacy, which falls perfectly into the topic that we have discussed today. I have two questions for you. Are you thinking about training on private data while you need to have your model deployed in the public domain? Or even better, are you dealing with the slight possibility that your model might memorize some of the specifics in the training data and you might end up publicizing things which you were supposed to be private? Well, modern machine learning is increasingly applied to create new technologies and user experiences, many of which involve training machines to learn from sensitive data, such as personal photos, email, or even text conversations. Ideally, the parameters of the trained machine learning models should encode general patterns rather than memorizing specific examples. Nevertheless, there is always the risk of exposing unwanted information. That's when tools such as TensorFlow privacy kicks in. In a very easy way, TensorFlow privacy allows you to design and build your deep learning models while ensuring privacy at the level of the model weights, as it provides an implementation of differential privacy with differential private stochastic gradient optimizers. Learning with differential privacy provides provable guarantees of privacy while mitigating the risk of exposing sensitive training data in machine learning. And in case you are wondering how you can use TensorFlow privacy, I have linked a full tutorial on how to build a machine learning model in the description box. And that's it for today. Now that we are aware of the challenges that AI brought to data privacy, in the next episodes we'll be covering topics from the impact of privacy regulations in AI to privacy enhancing technologies benefits and how companies are leveraging them today. I hope you have enjoyed and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and join our community on Slack. Thank you and take care.